Clemson Sports Talk. And, of course, earlier today, Clemson picking up the commitment of an elite wide receiver out of the state of Florida, Troy Stellato. That information available for you over on ClemsonSportsTalk.com. But we begin with a story that we talked about yesterday in an incredible series that's upcoming on your television station, a television station near you, Clemson's Greatest Games. And our good buddy Richmond Weaver, the host of Rich Take on Sports, joins the program to talk to us about this venture that he's been a part of. During these times, Richmond, I think this is just what's going to, be perfect for Tiger fans to whet their football appetite.
Well, we're hoping so, and it's an honor to be here talking with you, Lawton. I greatly appreciate you letting me come on and actually talking about it. You're obviously a big voice in Clemson Nation, and we want to make sure that we can get this information out because I agree with you. I think this is a time where there's so much going on right now, obviously, with the pandemic and the protests. Just everything in the world seems to be somewhat of a negative tone. And I don't mean necessarily negative because I think there's some positive things that can come out of all of this, and we're hoping so. But this is also just a time where I think that we can take a few moments and just take a break, because that's what sports does for us a lot of times. It's to take a break from the realities of the world and just have some entertainment. And I think with this project that we've been able to work on with Clemson Sports and Campus Marketing and WSPA, and obviously with Clemson Athletics, is that can we also walk down memory lane a little bit and relive some of those games that are really special in so many of the hearts of Clemson Nation and the fan base. And I'm excited that Clemson Nation will have an opportunity to walk down memory lane.
Well, and that's one of the things I wondered about this. In a world where sports continues to come at us daily from a global perspective, the storylines never stopped. There may not be maybe time in the market for something like this. Is this a byproduct of having that open availability to fill TV space, in your opinion, or you believe this would have taken place no matter what?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question because, as you probably know, Lawton, life is about timing, and there's many examples of that. But with this, there's definitely an aspect of it that timing was probably in our favor with this project. Mark Childress, who is the brains behind this, and he's the host of Mark Childress' show on 105.5 The Roar, the Upstate. And he had the idea and approached me back in late 2019, talking about, we need something to relive some of these great games. Obviously, we know national championships, big bowl games, and also, semifinal games. Those are great games for Clemson historically. We get that. But within regular seasons, there's games that are monumental. And so his thought was that, hey, let's have an opportunity of showcasing those games and really tell the story about the game and the behind the scenes type of things, the emotion behind certain big plays, the game itself, whatever it might be. And so with that, we had the thought of, okay, could we do something, but we need Clemson to have their blessing on this. We want them to help us package it all together and really get behind it. And so we approached JMI Sports and Clemson Sports and Campus Marketing with the idea, and this was early 2020, and obviously the world was normal then, as far as you could say normal, right?
Sure.
And then the pandemic hits, and obviously sports stops, and then all of a sudden live sports is gone. Where's the content? And it was just a fortuitous type of situation that we had this idea. We had some concepts in our head and had showcased that and presented it to JMI Sports and Clemson. And it just made sense because they needed some content at that point. And so I would have to say, very similar to The Last Dance, the Michael Jordan documentary. They pushed that to get that out because they knew they had an opportunity of capturing the nation or the world with that. And we feel, on a small level like that, could we do that with the same thing here? And it just worked out really favorable for us to be able to put this together. And we're still running 100 miles per hour, Lawton, I'll tell you, pulling all this together right now, because we've got 12 episodes of highlighting 12 different games and what we're calling season one, because we do hope this is going to be something that we can continue to produce and provide this walk down memory lane.
Richmond Weaver hosts Rich Take on Sports in addition to everything that he does with Pronk Studios and our good buddy Mark Childress. And again, the series is called Clemson's Greatest Games. It kicks off tomorrow, which I know has to be exciting for you guys. Tim Beret is a weekly guest on the program on Thursdays, and I know the opening feature is going to be about Clemson and Syracuse. Many people will maybe call that the Chase Bryce game for eternity. What's incredible about that game, and Tim brought this to light, is that it's often now overshadowed by what Clemson did to Notre Dame in the Cotton Bowl. And, when you look at I'm a big fan of Back to the Future. And in Marty McFly's world, man, you'd need a DeLorean to fix things had Chase Bryce and Travis Etienne not led the Tigers to victory that weekend.
Without a doubt. And I think this was one of those games, and people, as you reflect back on it, and especially once you're able to watch the episode, and you'll understand just again the importance of this game, not only that the Tigers were able to win the game, but is the way they did it. I mean, the adversity that they had to fight through for the whole week, obviously with Trevor Lawrence getting knocked out, but even before that, it was the Kelly Bryant situation happening where he's demoted to second string and then doesn't show up to practice. And there's all of these questions. What is he going to do? And then we obviously hear that he's making a decision to not be with the team anymore and transferring. And then that thrusts all of a sudden Trevor Lawrence into an even bigger spotlight. And obviously also Chase Bryce. Now he's moved up to second string, and then the worst case scenario that can happen. And it's almost like, was that Murphy's Law that Trevor Lawrence was going to go down because of everything that else was happening, with Kelly Bryant leaving the team, and was there going to be a quarterback that could be in that second string spot? And then for Chase Bryce to be able to come up the way he did, because it looked like it was not going to be Clemson's day that game. It just seemed to be all signs were going Syracuse way. And just could the Tigers actually pull together? I mean, they were down 16-7 at halftime and then somehow fought back. And I think it really, everything turned in that second half when Dabo Swinney and the coaching staff, they decided what you mentioned earlier, give it to Travis Etienne and the rest of the guys on the run game, and let's run it down their throat. And I think that allowed Chase Bryce to, gain some confidence. Didn't have to worry so much about what he had to do. He could just play football. And then he got comfortable, and obviously the 4th and 6 makes the big throw to T. Higgins, and
yeah.
Yes, exactly right. And they cap off the drive and with a score to take the lead. And what's very interesting also, Lawton, if you go back, that drive, 94 yards, and it was 13 plays, and they threw one pass, and it was on 4th and 6. The rest, it was all runs. And again, it just showcased how strong that run game was. And then the euphoria of that game, I really feel, and understanding how they were able to fight through that adversity, it catapulted the Tigers into that run for the rest of the season. Because if you look back, they didn't really have any other close games, maybe up in Boston College, cold Friday night, and it was, a relatively closer game. But outside of that, the Tigers, they came to play every game after that. And I think that game just showcased, what they could do and understanding how they could come together as a team. And they were obviously on a mission after that game.
Again, Clemson's Greatest Games. It kicks off tomorrow on WSPA in the upstate, WJBF if you live in the CSRA over in the Augusta area, WCBD in Charleston, and watch Fox 57 in the Midlands of South Carolina, along with our friends on the coast on WBTW in Myrtle Beach. So Tiger fans all across the state will have an opportunity to enjoy Clemson's greatest games. We're talking with Richmond Weaver here on Clemson Sports Talk today about the opening matchup in this series, and that's tomorrow, Syracuse 2018 in Death Valley. Ironically, Tim Beret, who I feel like has been at every Clemson football game, perhaps since World War II, it feels like sometimes, was not at this game. He was in France. Richmond, where were you?
I was actually in the stadium. And so I remember this game vividly, and it is burned in my memory. Because just thinking back to, oh my goodness, is this, how can this happen again? Because the storyline is just incredible if you think about it, Lawton. Just the fact that this is Syracuse, who had beaten Clemson the previous year, and Kelly Bryant had been knocked out of the game in Syracuse. And then now in Death Valley, Kelly Bryant is not there, but it's Trevor Lawrence that gets knocked out of the game. And I can tell you, Lawton, again, I was there, and I remember that play distinctly when Trevor Lawrence gets hit. I mean, it is a thud, and it's Trevor Lawrence hits the ground and then rolls over, and you could tell it was a bad hit. And as he rolled over and just laid there for a few seconds, that's when Death Valley knew. They were like, uh-oh, and the stadium was silent, complete silence, waiting to see what was going to happen.
At that moment, Richmond, do you think it was about the Syracuse game, or do you think people thought he broke his collarbone and it could be the season? Because it was a deathly hush.
I said what you just said, Lawton. I was like, it's over. He just broke his collarbone. He's not coming back at all. The hit was so vicious, and you could see it. I mean, because they showed the replay, and it looked like, how could his shoulder and collarbone survive that type of impact? Because it didn't really look like it was something that could cause a concussion. I mean, I know it obviously could, but the way the hit, it wasn't as direct on the head. It didn't seem, at least from my angle and some of the replays. So I immediately thought, season's over for Trevor Lawrence, that he's not going to be able to come back because of it was going to be some type of shoulder injury, dislocated, or a broken collarbone, something that would be much more substantial than a concussion. And obviously very fortunate that it was in all reality, a slight concussion. I mean, it knocked him out of the game, but Lawton, there's some guys that have a concussion like that. They're out several games. And so Clemson was very fortunate.
And the Tigers, of course, will go on to win the national championship that season, and it all goes back to that Syracuse game. Again, it debuts tomorrow. It is Clemson's greatest games. Richmond Weaver, again, he has a fantastic podcast. You want to check this out, whether you're a Tiger, Gamecock, Bulldog, Yellow Jacket, or Seminole. Rich take on sports with special guest, does an unbelievable job with that, and we're going to definitely talk about that for our listeners here coming up. I know we've had you on in the past, but you can't talk enough about the show that he puts together and the many great interviews. But from that perspective, you guys are also bringing in former players to be a part of this deal. How interesting is it to hear it through the eyes of the guys who are on the other side of that helmet?
That's what makes the show so special, Lawton. It's not so much any type of commentary that we can provide in reference to the game itself and what it meant, and not only from just the season, but even more that it's the stories that the players can talk about because they get to relive it. And just even having like Kendall Joseph talking about it, and him texting me after having the opportunity of sitting down and then just talking about how he still gets chills just talking about some of the plays and some of the memories. And so it's great for them to be able to now tell a little bit about the emotional side of the game itself, or particular plays, and just hearing some of the things that are going on that you might not know. Because, I mean, just the aspect of the pressure of the situation, or just being so tired and having to fight through, all right, this is the 99th play against Louisville, and we've got to make a stop here on 4th and 12. What that is like, and them describing the emotions going into that. So that's one of my favorite parts of all of this, is that you get to hear the emotional side of these guys who were there, who were in the middle of it, and tell the story so you get a different perspective from it.
I think one of the unique things I've learned from this business is the fact that it amazes me how much the defensive guys will know about it. It's like a golfer. They could tell you, well, I was short of the green on hole 3. I chipped up, putted two putted. They can recap that entire round. These defensive players can pretty much recap almost the entire game in their mind's eye, but they can't really tell you a whole lot about the offensive side of the ball either because they weren't out there. They're typically getting ready to go back out there. I just have always found it fascinating of how when players really break down a game, I mean, they're breaking it down from their singular perspective of what goes on. Like if I talk to John Simpson about how good Trevor Lawrence is, he's really only seen it because he's watched film. He can't turn his head around and watch Trevor Lawrence. And I love the fact that you guys have these players telling it from their perspective. Clemson's greatest stories, folks. It kicks off tomorrow. You're going to love it. DVR it. Set your, I don't know if you got a VCR still at the house. Get your VCRs ready to purr if you don't have a DVR. But Richmond Weaver and our good buddy Mark Childress. I'm kind of disappointed. I thought you were going to say Mark Childress was really the special catalyst to what this show brought to the audience.
Well, we do know that because he is the brain. Yes, so we've got to give him a lot of credit that he is the glue that holds all of this together, right?
Yeah. I mean, he's got a great vision. And I think that's the thing that maybe people who don't know Mark's name yet from his work with the Tailgate Show, from his work on, the Mark Childress Show and the stuff he's done to fill in at times on WCCP. Mark has a vision for what he wants, how Clemson should be seen and heard. And that vision's really, it's already started previously, but this seems like the next big step for him.
It definitely is. And I think this is just the beginning of some other ideas that he has. So this is a building block. And I think we've got the opportunity of really doing something special with this, and then what else it can lead to. And Mark Childress is definitely going to be a guy that you'll continue to hear in bigger and better things because he does have different ideas and different visions, and wanting to build upon the whole aspect of the storytelling. And we all know we love stories. That's the world turns based on stories being told since the beginning of time, right? And that's what is so great about this, is that how can we package these games, these seasons, whatever it is, into stories, because that's what captures an audience. That's what leads to engagement and evokes the emotions, because not only is it emotional for some of these players when they're talking about these games and particular moments, but it's also for the fans as well, because they can remember where they were, what was going on. Obviously, say a Notre Dame game, I was there in the hurricane, basically. I mean, just the memories and being able to pass those memories down and tell the stories is something that not only for the players, but also for the fans. And I think that's where Mark, he wants to be able to bring that aspect to the fans as well, to continue the storytelling and holding on to those memories.
Again, it is Clemson's greatest games, and depending on what market you are in, it will start at different times, but it is going to be for everybody really in the state of South Carolina. You can actually head over to ClemsonSportsTalk.com to learn more about the scheduling, or find the information over on Instagram as well. Multiple ways for you to be a part of things on that front. You may not have known this, so we're going to hit a break. We'll come back. Richmond was also part of the Clemson Tiger basketball team in some respects. He'll tell us those stories right after this.
Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire prices in Columbia, guaranteed. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
Traffic tie-ups this afternoon include Amex Ferry at Lake Tide, Faro at Pines, and Wildlife at Bar. The 103.5 FM WVOC traffic tip line number is 343-1055.
This report is brought to you by Stand Up to Cancer.
I'm Tony Goldwyn. 20 years ago, when my mom had lung cancer, she didn't have many choices. But today you do. If you've been diagnosed with lung cancer, please visit standuptocancer.org/lungcancer to learn more.
Hi, this is Kevin Hunter with Simplified Office Systems. We're here to help you with your home office. Whether you need a large multifunction device or something simple to sit on your desk, we can help with that. We offer products and strategies from HP. We also, with every product, give you remote support, troubleshooting, setup support, whatever you need, we are here to help. We can even put a Clemson logo on that new copy. Contact us by visiting mysimplifiedoffice.com or call us at 888-914-7476. Stay safe, stay strong.
For 28 years, the professional staff of the Hobbs Group and Hobbs Group Advisors has been dedicated to helping others achieve their financial goals by delivering quality, objective financial and accounting solutions to a diverse client base of individuals and businesses all over South Carolina. We offer tax and audit services, bookkeeping, payroll, litigation support, employee benefits, personal financial planning, investment management, and insurance services. Please call us at 803-799-0555 or visit our website, hobbscpa.com, to learn more about our people and services.
I'm attorney Preston McDaniel, and you know, I grew up in rural South Carolina. Every time I look across my desk at an injured worker, I see one of my friends or neighbors. They didn't ask to get hurt, and they don't deserve to be treated like a rented mule by an insurance company. If you or someone you know or care about is injured on the job, help them get a fair shake.
If you've been asked to work from home, then home becomes your workplace. If you've been injured, call the McDaniel Law Firm today at 771-7211. Online at pfmcdaniellaw.com.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her.
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Keep a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve. Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Unit 121 responding to possible carbon monoxide poisoning.
Carbon monoxide is an odorless, colorless, tasteless gas that kills more than 500 Americans every year. Never use generators, grills, camp stoves, or other gasoline or charcoal burning devices inside your home, basement, or garage, or near a window. If it's cold, stay with friends or family or in a shelter. To learn more, call 1-800-CDC-INFO.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique, but you are not alone. MAD is here to help. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org. That's MADD.org.
Now, back to Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan on Columbia's home for the 2018 National Championship Tigers, Fox Sports Radio 1400.
Back at it on a Friday afternoon. Lawton Swan, Richmond Weaver hanging out with us here, getting into some of the many stories of his career and the role that he played with the series Clemson's Greatest Games, which is really going to be unbelievable, I think, for a lot of Clemson Tiger fans. So, again, make sure you head over to ClemsonSportsTalk.com and check that out. And we'd love to have you become a premium subscriber if you don't already. Just $63.17 for an entire year. I see sites giving away this, that, and the other. But I think a lot of times that's because the price point's wrong. And $63.17 sounds perfect, doesn't it? Just 18 cents a day, all the podcasts, more digital content than any other site. And again, Richmond Weaver, the host of Rich Take on Sports, joining us here on a Friday afternoon. And Richmond, I know you got many, many stories to tell. And one of those things that we haven't talked about yet is, you know, your career. One thing we haven't mentioned about you is that when you were at Clemson, you were actually a part of some of Coach Cliff Ellis's teams in the late 80s, early 90s. Walk Clemson Tiger fans through and our listenership through how you got into that aspect of your life and then ultimately some of your post-college career.
Well, I was a huge sports fan growing up, and basketball was my sport. And, I had a dysfunctional family background. Never knew my biological father, and my stepdad and mom were alcoholics throughout much of my childhood. And so sports was my safe haven. That was my escape, and, where I found camaraderie and love and acceptance, and obviously all of the other things that you could understand about sports with adversity. If you fall down, you get back up, all of that. But I wanted to be a college basketball coach. And, I thought I was also maybe good enough to play at the collegiate level. Well, I tried to walk on at Clemson because I wanted to go to a big school.
Yeah.
I loved the big football universities, all of that. And I grew up in the Atlanta area. So Clemson was very close, but it was also out of state. So it felt far away. So I could say that, yes, I'm going way away from home because I wanted to be a little bit, because I wanted to be just a little bit different, not go to Georgia and, some of the local, and nothing against them, but I just fell in love with Clemson's campus. And I remember I actually never even walked on campus. We drove through and it was pouring down rain, so we couldn't even get out. But as we drove and saw the stadium, I was like, this is it. This is where I want to go. So I reached out to the coaching staff and said, hey, I want an opportunity to try to walk on. And so Cliff Ellis at least afforded me that opportunity. And that was a humbling experience, though, Lawton, because I thought I was a decent basketball player until I was up against Ricky Jones, Derek Forrest, David Young, Dale Davis, Eldon Campbell, Marion Cash. I mean, that team in 1989 was stacked. And that was the team that won the regular season ACC title. So a lot of Clemson fans will remember that was a really good team. And if it wasn't for Tate George making an unbelievable shot in the NCAA tournament, I'm convinced that team makes it to the Final Four because they would have faced Duke. And we had already beaten Duke to win the ACC regular season title previously. And so I felt we had Duke's number that year. But Cliff Ellis let me stay on that staff as a manager, and that led me into coaching. So I was able to kind of fulfill my dream. And I was a low Division I assistant coach at Fairleigh Dickinson University for 1 year and 2 years at Maryland Eastern Shore. But in 1996, our staff at Maryland Eastern Shore got fired, and I thought some things were going to actually work out in my favor to join Cliff Ellis, who was now at Auburn. And things didn't work out. And next thing I know, there's really no opportunities, and pride got in the way because I could have had some JUCO opportunities. But I'm thinking to myself, Lawton, hey, I'm a Division I assistant coach. I can't go to junior college.
Right.
Because, I'm too good for that, right? Pride got in the way. And nothing was really there. And so I thought that, okay, I'll just wait till the next Final Four happens, and then I can get reemerged into coaching changes. But it didn't happen because once you're out, it's really hard to get your foot back in. And then at that time, also, I had taken a job just temporarily in medical device, and in the sales career, started having some success. And then next thing I know, it's another year later, and then a year, and now we're in 2020, Lawton, and I never got back into coaching. But in 2017, it hit me that, man, sports, I need to somehow be connected, back into sports. And I'm telling my kids that, we're at dinner, and you need to follow your dreams. You need to follow your passions. Don't give up, when things are going rough, all of the dad cliches, right? Like I'm telling my teenage kids, right? And then I remember, Lawton, that night, brushing my teeth, looking in the mirror, and it's that seminal staring in the mirror type of situation. And I'm looking at myself and I say, that was a great speech, coach, but you're the guy who gave up on your dream of coaching college basketball at the first sign of adversity. And it was so true. And I felt that, man, okay, so what can I do to understand that you can continue to follow a dream, and maybe it's in sports, maybe not, whatever. And I knew that sports had been such a big part of my life that I couldn't be the only one, because there's so many people that gravitate towards sports. I mean, the societal pull towards sports is amazing. And I wanted to hear other people's stories. And so I had become a podcast consumer. And Walton, you're a big part of this because I had seen what you were doing, and I just loved the content that you were producing. And like, you know what, I've got to somehow be able to do something as well. And I decided that I was going to try to start a podcast, and lo and behold, I was fortunate enough, some things worked out. And I remember when Clemson wins the national championship, Deshaun hits Hunter Renfrow, we're celebrating as a family, going crazy, and I'm jumping up and down screaming, yes, yes, yes. And I'm also screaming, I'm starting a podcast. I'm starting a podcast.
I love that part. I love it. Man, I tell you.
It just showed me that anything is possible, Walton. Anything is possible. And so I was like, I'm determined to start it, and launched it in May of 2017. And we just recently celebrated 3-year anniversary.
It is absolutely humbling when people say things like that, Richmond. I appreciate it, man. I'll tell you what, we're going to hit a quick break. We'll come back with more. Richmond Weaver, host of Rich Take on Sports, and also a big part of Clemson's greatest games, coming to a TV near you. Stay with us here on the show that shakes the Southland.
These days, being a small business means navigating uncertainty in a constantly changing situation. So if you're looking for one trusted source that will keep you informed daily, visit the iHeartRadio Small Business Crisis Resource. There you'll find small business resources to help you get through this, including the latest info on loans, grants, and other forms of relief. You'll also see stories about small businesses making a difference. So let's get through this together. Visit iHeart.com/smallbusiness today. That's iHeart.com/smallbusiness.
Hey, it's Mike over at the Vacuum Center in Casey. Just wanted to share with you that we are open and we're here for you when you need us. Need a repair, extra bag? Maybe it's time to upgrade to a HEPA filter vacuum or air purifier. Now more than ever, it's so important to keep what in the vacuum inside the vacuum. Personally, I recommend a true hospital-grade sealed HEPA filtration system offered by brands such as Miele, the American-made Riccar, or Austin Air. If you want to talk about it, call us and visit us at the Vacuum Center, Knox Abbott Drive in Casey, or online at vacuumcenter.com.
Hi, I'm Alicia Kaufman Quinton. My daddy, Billy Kaufman, opened Kaufman's Meat Plant at our present location in 1955. My family still works hard every day to ensure fresh quality cuts of beef, pork, and poultry. How about a tasty T-bone, ribeye, or New York strip steak? But to order at Kaufman's Meat & Place. Just look for the signs near the intersection of US 1 and I-20 in Lexington. Call us at 356-0076 to place your order. Kaufman's Meat & Place, when you want the very best your money can buy.
Live from the $1,500 instant rebate AAA Heating and Air Weather Center.
Clear and warm tonight with lows in the upper 60s. Tomorrow, sunny, highs around 90, and then a few scattered late storms. For Channel 25 ABC Columbia, I'm Chief Meteorologist John Farley.
This report is brought to you by Positive Coaching Alliance. Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
Roxanne Watson is on a mission.
Hello, how are you doing today?
She wants more people to register as organ, eye, and tissue donors.
Are you an organ donor? Yes, I am. Yay.
My goal is to sign up the most people in the United States.
What drives her? Roxanne's own life was saved through the gift of a heart transplant, made possible by an organ donor.
I decided that day that I was going to devote myself to the cause of organ donation and signing people up and honoring my donor by doing that.
Now she's back to health, and she's a powerful force helping to save lives every day through her work. Imagine what you can make possible by leaving behind the gift of life.
8 people can be helped with the major organs, and up to 50 people can be helped with a little bit of everything. And when you think about it that way, that you could help that many people, it's amazing. It really is.
Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
Jill, why didn't you tell the class what you did this weekend?
Well, my dad and I went in search of some magical minnows and found a zillion of them in the stream from our lookout rock. Then my sister and I escaped from an evil slug king and went back to my super twig fort for safety. Then we told stories till it got dark, and the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Wow. Where were you, Jill?
We went to the forest. It's not that far away.
Ask
your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Major key alert. Don't ever play yourself. Life is like school. You will be tested, so pass it.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at GetSchooled.com.
Stay focused. Now that's a major key alert.
Brought to you by Get Schooled and the Ad Council.
Want to hit a home run with your smart speaker?
Just say something like this.
Alexa, play Fox Sports Radio 1400 on iHeartRadio.
It is the show that shakes the Southland, the People Show, Clemson Sports Talk on Twitter at Clemson Sports and your website, clemsonsportstalk.com. So during the break, I did grab this real quick. The on-air times for Clemson's greatest games this weekend in the markets that we mentioned. On WSPA in the upstate, it'll be on Saturday at 7:30 p.m. in the CSRA on WJBF, that's Channel 6. It'll be on at 11:35 on Sunday. In Myrtle Beach, you can catch it on Sunday at 11:30 a.m. In Charleston, you can catch it on Sunday at noon. And on Watch Fox 57 in Columbia, you can catch it at 10:30 in the a.m. on Sunday. So a great weekend ahead for Clemson Tiger fans for sure. And you know, Richmond, I was thinking during the break about what you said about my show and its influence on your show. It is humbling a lot of times when people tell me that, because I know I was one of the early starters in this kind of podcast world. But Richmond's podcast, Rich Take on Sports, folks, is unbelievable. You're going to love it. And I think the niche that you've captured, and I think I've told you this before, it reminds me of Inside the Actor's Studio to some degree, because I feel like for whatever reason, I think a big part of it is who you are and the way you navigate these interviews. People let their walls down a little bit more than I think they do normally. And we really begin to hear and feel what's driven people to where they are, you know, with their life in sports. And that's what I really love about it. So when you're thinking about what you want to do, I mean, when you go into episode 1 and now you're at what, episode 135 or 100, your 135th guest?
136.
So you got
just released 136 with Tom Luganville, but
so at what point
was with Maria Taylor?
At what point, Richmond, you know, do you recognize this is the, you know, kind of the type of show I want to have?
Well, I remember thinking about the podcast in itself and the concept of it, because I didn't want it to be a opinion-based type of podcast where I'm just giving an opinion about a certain game or reliving, storylines or breaking down X's and O's. And I love those type of podcasts. Don't get me wrong. I value those and I listen to those because I want to hear those type of things. But I thought I wanted something to be a little bit different, to hear that behind the scenes type of things with these guests and, you know, what their journey was like. Because one of the things that I think also gets missed in when we have athletes and people on TV, whatever it might be, coaches, we think their life is a certain way and that they got to this point just easily. And now they're, you know, at the top of their profession. And it's not that way. They go through the same struggles, ups and downs that every one of us go through. And there was an aspect, you never know what one little bit of information might be inspiration for somebody else. Give them a little bit of hope that, oh, wow, I didn't know that, you know, that person, you know, lost their brother in a tragic wreck or lost their parents this way and had to overcome that type of adversity, or were homeless, you know, for several months, and now they're one of the best quarterback coaches in the nation. You know, those type of things that you just don't really know, and maybe it could be, you know, an inspiration for somebody. But it was also about how sports shaped their life and impacted their life. And that's what I wanted to really uncover, because I'm fascinated still because of my own journey of how sports affected me, how it does so many other people. Because, I mean, we're seeing it right now, Lawton. Just think about, obviously, there's the headlines as far as the pandemic and what that's doing for the whole globe, and then also the protests going on. But there's also, how many of the storylines do we keep hearing? When is sports coming back?
Right.
Why can't we get sports now? What does it mean if there's not going to be football in the fall? I mean, those are major headlines, and not just from the perspective of, we know there's so many dollars associated with sports because it is a business, but just from the aspect of what it is for society and how it brings so many people together and can give hope in so many different ways. So that's what I wanted to be able to capture with some of these guests and have it where it's very conversational. And some of my early episodes, Walton, I apologize to anybody that listens to some of those early ones, because I was a little bit rigid, and I learned just through so many different opportunities of sitting down with interviews is that just let it flow, let it be conversational, and let the story, wind itself without having, one set agenda. Now I have a certain guide that I want to, uncover and hopefully talk about, but I just let the conversation kind of flow where the guest wants to take it. And I think that does help in terms of getting them out of the traditional interview mode where they become a robot. And we've seen it all the time. They, athletes, TV people, they have their talk track and they can't veer off of that.
Right.
But I want them to be able to veer off of that and, talk about their personal side. And the one thing that I tell them too is that, hey, just remember, we're talking about something that you're an expert on. So you have all the confidence in the world because it's your story. You lived it. All we're doing is just talking about it. And I think that is what makes the podcast appealing to a lot of people.
The website, Rich Take on Sports. You can head over there and check it out. 3 years in the mix now, doing his show, Richmond Weaver, and again, his latest guest, Tom Luganbill, who I actually spoke with Tom not all that long ago, and man, he's got some stories from growing up in Southern California that are absolutely incredible, including, I know, Tony Hawk being a name that he knew back in the day. It's just kind of wild because I don't know, when you get ingrained in an area of college football like the Southeast, it feels like Luganbill is a Southeastern guy, but he's a West Coast dude, and I guarantee you, you're going to love that episode of Rich Take on Sports with Richmond Weaver. And we're up against a hard break here, so I'll tell you what we're going to do. We'll pop Richmond back on hold. He has been tremendous to hang out with us, and we hope we can get a good bit more out of him here today on a Friday afternoon as you travel around the great state of South Carolina and beyond, listening to the show that shakes the Southland on fantastic radio stations like Fox Sports Radio 1400 in the Midlands, Sports Radio 100.1 The Fan in Florence, and 920 AM in Manning. It is Clemson Sports Talk on a Friday. I may have said Sports Radio 100.1 The Fan. The Fan.
It's the key to better living. Essex Home.
Need to move now? Relocating? While you're at home, you can shop for a new home. Design your house with a mouse at EssexHomes.net. Tour homes online. Schedule a virtual appointment. Need a private one-on-one visit? You can chat with a specialist today. Stay safe and keep others safe by calling or clicking today.
It's the key to better living. EssexHomes.net.
Has this ever happened to you? I wasn't feeling
If
great,
you
so
are
I searched
watching
my
the show
symptoms
on Facebook,
Google,
we're going to
and
be
now
giving
I'm being followed by really uncomfortable ads. I hate feeling like my personal
some of these
information
away
is
to
being
both
bought and
subscribers
sold.
and
I got
non-subscribers.
DuckDuckGo and saw a difference right away.
More
With one
to
download, you can
subscribers.
search and browse privately, avoiding trackers, all for free. It's that
Gonna have some
simple.
drawings coming up
Take
this
back
summer.
your privacy online with DuckDuckGo.
Come join us, help us
Privacy
grow.
simplified.
Lawton Swan here, and I know in sports we're always talking about the big guy. Well, let me tell you, when you're buying a car, you don't need that. What you need to do is head down to Orangeburg to my good friends at Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac. 4 generations of family-owned business right there at Ferry Chevrolet. No dock fees, no tricks, straightforward pricing in a low-pressure environment you'll love. Check them out online, ferrychevrolet.com, or call them 803-536-1600. It's Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac, just a short 30-minute drive off of exit 145A in Orangeburg.
The iHeartRadio app now has over 300,000 of the best podcasts from around the globe, making us #1 for podcasts, but making it super easy for you to find what you're looking for. Dive into just about anything.
It's effortless, man.
It's the best way to find new podcasts.
A new episode hits, they let me know right away.
I got it for radio, but I love podcasts, and I discovered that they have all of them.
They got it all.
iHeartRadio did it.
And of course, it's all free. Your music, your stations, and now #1 for podcasts.
iHeartRadio.
You're not wired to have a response to this sound. You're neutral to it. You hear it every time you finish a meal and never feel anything. But if we were able to associate this sound with a new stimulus, save the food, we've achieved pulling a natural response from you. Save the food. Why are we doing this, you may ask? Save the food. Because this ad is trying to change your after-meal behavior through brainwashing. Because food waste costs the average family $1,500 a year. Save the food, cha-ching, and $1,500 extra bucks is like getting a pay raise. Save the food, cha-ching, you're promoted, which could pay for your child's braces. Save the food, cha-ching, you're promoted.
Check out my braces.
So when you hear this sound, rethink your behavior. Cook it, store it, share it. Just don't waste it. For tips and recipes, visit SaveTheFood.com. Brought to you by NRDC and the Ad Council.
Ever think of light bulbs as being cool? They are if you choose energy-efficient bulbs and fixtures that have earned the government's Energy Star label. They're so hot, they're cool. Because they burn cool and last up to 10 times longer, you save money and oodles of energy. Change a light, help the environment, save some green. The solution is as close as your nearest lamp socket. Brighten your environmental future. From the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency.
Mothers Against Drunk Driving supports victims of drunk driving, drug driving, and underage drinking at no charge. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org. That's MADD.org.
Fox Sports Radio 1400. Online at foxsportsradio1400.com. On your phone with the iHeartRadio app and on hundreds of devices like Alexa, Google Home, Xbox, and Sonos. An iHeart radio station.
It's a Friday afternoon here on Clemson Sports Talk. Lawton Swan with you on the guest line, Richmond Weaver. And Richmond, you know, I'm thinking about the greatest games, the Clemson's greatest game series that you guys put together. And the thing that I really don't know is about your relationship with Mark Childress and how you guys got connected.
Yeah, it was all through Mark Sturgis, who was previous host of Straight Up with Sturge in Greenville on ESPN Upstate. And so I had come in contact with Mark, and it was interesting, Mark Sturgis that is, and it was interesting how I got connected with Mark Sturgis because I had bid on an opportunity to do somewhat of a behind-the-scenes tour at ESPN Upstate. And so I ended up winning that. I was the only person who bid on it, so I didn't have a whole lot of competition. But so I got to do the behind-the-scenes tour with Mark, and it happened to be right before March Madness was starting. And so I was telling him my story that, I used to be a college basketball coach, and he said, "Hey, my co-host, Price Atkinson, is out of town this week. Why don't you jump on and we'll talk about the NCAA tournament coming up since you're a coach."
I just bid for a
tour. Yes, exactly. And I was like, okay. So he threw some headphones on me, put me in front of the microphone, and I talked college basketball for 3 hours. And I was in love with it. And this, again, I had the whole idea of this whole podcast, but I had only told my wife that I was wanting to do the podcast. And so this was, again, right before March of 2017. And as I was leaving the studio, Sturge yelled to me and said, hey, Richmond, just one more thing. Hey, have you ever thought about doing a podcast? And when he said that, that was just even more motivation. I was like, all right, God, I hear you. It is on. We're definitely doing the podcast. And so through that, it actually led to me becoming a co-host on ESPN Upstate with Greg McKinney on The Huddle. And so I did that for over a year, and that's how Mark Childress and I got connected. He had recently moved from Atlanta to Greenville, and he was wanting to do some local radio stuff because he had been in sports before.
Right.
He did some stuff with Pete Yanity years and years before he had moved to Atlanta. And so he was trying to get back in. And so we got connected through Mark Sturgis, and we just developed a bond, a relationship, and we did some shows together, and we hit it off. And we just have a unique combination of, we can feed off of each other, kind of the yin and yang type of thing. And so we're a good combo, and we thought about, okay, what's some other things that we can do? And so we started doing, The Ring, which is something that we started. And again, this was Mark Childress's brainchild, is talking about, upcoming NFL and college football games, and, highlighting some of the games, and just continued talking about the other type of opportunities. And, as he was listening to my podcast and looking at other opportunities, what else can we do to help other podcast people out, not only from an audio side, but anybody that's wanting to do video side as well. And so we got also connected with Will Stewart, who is the founder of 9/8 Central, a video production company in Greenville. And the three of us came together and said, all right, what can we do to have some type of studio that can assist and help produce content for people in an affordable way? Because we know that it can get expensive. Obviously, I know that you probably know all too well, just the production side, it can be an investment, and you do a great job with it because you got high production level as well. And so, but we want to give, opportunities to people to get their voice out there. And so we founded Pronk Studios in Greenville, and have been showcasing various different podcasts and shows, 4th and 16 with Ellis Tolbert, and also, the Mark Childress Show, we broadcast from there, and I do some of my episodes when possible with, Rich Take on Sports. So it's just been a great opportunity for Mark and I, and then Will with Pronk Studios, to pull all this together. But the friendship that Mark and I have really started just from local sports radio, and us wanting to do something maybe just a little bit different and a little bit bigger.
Your story never ceases to amaze me. Richmond Weaver, host of Rich Take on Sports, but a big part of what's going on with him and Mark Childress right now is obviously the investment that they put into Clemson's greatest games. It kicks off tomorrow. Clemson football, that's right, on your television tomorrow, recapping Clemson's victory in 2018 over Syracuse. An inside look at it. All the major markets really around the state of South Carolina have a chance to tune that in, and you can go to ClemsonSportsTalk.com to find out all that information. Richmond, man, I could talk to you for 3.5 hours, but only have a 2-hour show, buddy. But I appreciate you coming on, man. It is always fun. It is always fun.
Well, I appreciate it, Lawton. I could do the same thing, talk to you for hours, and I'm going to continue to harass you, though, because I want all your listeners to hear more of your story, you and I sitting down. So be ready. We're getting this thing scheduled. I promise you.
I don't get nervous much. Every time you tell me that, I get a little ball in my stomach because I know I have to open myself up a little more than usual doing your interviews. Richmond, have a great weekend, man. I appreciate it. And best of luck tomorrow. I know you guys are excited.
Thank you, Lawton. Appreciate it.
Richmond Weaver here on Clemson Sports Talk. That's awesome. I can't wait for the opportunity to be a part of his show. If you've never heard it, I would encourage you to go check it out again. Rich Take on Sports. I know I made the comparison. I think it is a fair one. It is a sports show that is incredible in the respect in which he digs into the background of so many people, and it reminds me of Inside the Actor's Studio which was a show for many years done very well by a man named James Lipton. And Richmond just has a knack for that. His interview with Dabo Swinney he did a few years ago, unbelievable. You want to go check it out. Rich take on sports. Hour number 2, Clemson Tom joins the program. Stay with us here for more of the show that shakes the Southland.
Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan on Columbia's home for sports. Fox Sports Radio 1400. Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire prices in Columbia, guaranteed. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
Big accident on I-26 eastbound between St. Andrews Road and the I-20 split. Police and fire are on the scene. We also have a wreck on Edmond Highway at Old Dunbar Road. I'm Rob Sanders. Reach out to me on the 103.5 FM WVOC traffic tip line 343-1055.
This report is sponsored by Unbound.org. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at Unbound.org.
Hey, Tiger fans. Don Munson here, voice of the Clemson Tigers, and I want you to know there is no better way to support your Tigers than by being a member of IPTAY. Membership starts at only $60 and provides critical support for our student athletes to be champions in the classroom and in athletic competition. Be a game changer and visit ClemsonTigers.com/IPTAY or call 1-800-CLEMSON to join IPTAY today.
Let me tell you who I trust to protect my home and my family. Modern Exterminating. Hey, it's Lawton Swan, and when you need top quality service from a team that knows what bugs you, call Modern Exterminating. 765-2315. They're locally owned and offer a full complement of pest elimination services, including complete pest control, termite plans, moisture control, and more. Check out Modern Exterminating online at pestfreesc.com or give them a call today, 765-2315. Modern Exterminating. They know what bugs you.
Tiger fans, look no further than the Tiger Sports Shop in Clemson for all your game day needs. Since 1974, they've brought you everything Clemson for the Clemson fan. With quality brands such as Nike, Antigua, Cutter and Buck, and Champion, plus many more. From hats to t-shirts to tailgate, the Tiger Sports Shop has all the Clemson gear a true Tiger fan needs. With 2 convenient game day locations in Tigertown, shop where I shop at Dr. I.M. Ibrahim's Tiger Sports Shop. They fuel the passion of Tiger fans everywhere. Check them out online, tigersports.com.
Warning. This product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Whether you enjoy classical, rock, or heavy metal, we all march to the beat of our own drummer or guitarist. That's why Views also offers you more ways to vape your way. It's available in 5 bold color options, 3 smooth tastes, and 3 nicotine levels. It's your vape, your way. Views, charge beyond. Underage sale prohibited.
If your family is struggling during this crisis, No Kid Hungry is here to help your kids get the food they need. They're working with organizations nationwide to feed children for free while schools are closed, now and through the summer. Just visit nokidhungry.org/help to find free meals in your community. No questions asked, no registration needed. It's just healthy food for hungry kids who need it. Go to nokidhungry.org/help to find free meals for your kids today.
A message from Food Addicts in Recovery Anonymous.
I came to Food Addicts in Recovery Anonymous overweight and depressed. I was dieting, binging, stealing food, and lying about it for years.
For help, call 781-932-6300 or visit foodaddicts.org.
I knew I had a weight problem. I didn't know I was addicted to food.
The FA program gave me a healthy body. I'm free from obsessing about my weight or food.
Call FA 781-932-6300 or visit us on our website at foodaddicts.org.
Fox Sports Radio 1400, WCOS Columbia, an iHeart radio station.
It's time for Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan.
Just call me Swanee.
Tiger style. Tiger style.
is our number 2. That's Drive Time right here on the show that shakes the Southland. An incredible hour with my buddy Richmond Weaver on Twitter at Richmond Weaver. You can follow him there. Rich Take on Sports. I would encourage you to jump on that podcast. And again, in multiple markets over the weekend, some on Saturday, some on Sunday, the debut of Clemson's greatest games. Incredible. I cannot wait. I saw the teaser. You can go to ClemsonSportsTalk.com. About 40 seconds of goodness. Dive in on it. 803-450-0086. There's your text line. 803-450-0086. He's a man that lives in the state of Florida, but his heart resides in Clemson Tiger Nation. He is Clemson Tom. Tom, what's going on, big guy?
It's Friday. It's 5 o'clock. It's me and you.
Yes.
Teaming up at the top of the hour.
Yeah, we're like the 2 astronauts. What are their names? Like Doug and Bud or something? America just...
And Buzz Lightyear? Buzz Aldrin?
Doug. No offense to the Dougs out there, but I wasn't sure Doug was ever going to make it to space, but congratulations to all the Dougs.
Hey, congratulations, Doug. Good job.
Now, look, you live in Florida. I mean, can you see, like, I selfishly am a little bit of a nerd. And, when there's a little space flight like that, I like to try to peek out and see if I could see anything in the sky. I mean, from where you were, could you see anything, or did you even try to look?
Yeah, we're actually 45 minutes away from it. Yeah, we could see it just fine. It was no biggie.
Oh, we could see it just fine, Swan, you big loser in South Carolina who couldn't.
It really looked like a shooting star. You could just see like the tailwind. It kind of looks like a little silver thing in the air. It was kind of cool.
Doug and Bob. That's who went up to the International Space Station. That is spectacular. Speaking of which, if you ever saw the movie, God, what was that movie called with Rick Moranis and those guys? Strange Brew, I think. Space? Those guys were Bob and Doug McKenzie. So that figures America would send Bob and Doug to space nonetheless. But Tom, one of the other big storylines took place today. Justin Ross had successful surgery, according to his Twitter account. We know he's going to be out the entire season because of a issue that he was dealing with from birth that was discovered when he had some lingering stinger issues. And it is a team that's loaded at wide receiver. They obviously are continuing that, as today they picked up another big-time commitment that won't help them this year, but down the road, another 4-star commit right there out of the state of Florida. Concerns, where are you with Justin Ross not playing as a big Tiger fan?
Not really. I mean, I'm more concerned for him personally. I just hope he turns, football aside, I just hope he's okay, He's a fantastic football player. So hopefully he'll be, okay there. But as far as like the wide receivers with us, I am not sweating bullets at all, man. I think we're going to be just fine.
Well, and thinking about the standpoint of, from that standpoint, Clemson's offense, you lose T. Higgins to the NFL. Now Justin Ross is out with the injury. I was on a radio show, JB and Goldwater, the other day, and they asked me, they said, do you know who the leading returning receiver is? And it's actually Travis Etienne, which
it's Travis Etienne.
How does that make you feel, knowing that not a boatload of experience, so to speak, that will be out there?
Man, I'm okay with it. They're gonna get experience regardless of who's out there. I mean, Justin is just one guy, and he's a phenomenal player, obviously. But we've got such a good group of guys around us that we'll miss him.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's plug and play at this point. Remember the time when Mike Williams broke his neck and he was out for the whole year? People were like, how are you going to beat Alabama? How are you going to do this? Well, we ended up being okay. I mean, we didn't beat Bama the year he was out, but we did okay.
Right.
Or did we beat Bama the year he was out? No, I think
he came back. Yeah, he was.
But, I mean,
that was the season. And this just give you an idea. That was the season. Again, Mike Williams goes out in the opening game, and then Deion Kane doesn't play in the semifinal against Oklahoma. But you're still right there in the ball game against Alabama in the waning moments in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Minus
so you just
2 unbelievable players.
Hey, we'll be fine. I'm not sweating at all. Do I want them there? Yeah. Is it going to hurt us? Obviously, but we'll be fine. It's not like we're going to lose Trevor. Even if we did lose Trevor, I'd be like, well, it's the kid, from California. I can't even pronounce his name.
Yeah, just DJ. Go DJ. That's my DJ.
DJ. That's my DJ. You're right. You're right there, Cashman. I'm sorry, Birdman. That's just what we're going to have to call him, DJ. But, yeah, I'm not worried, Swanee, man. It's Clemson at this point. It's plug and play.
Now, Tom, there is some speculation out there about the fact that the NBA is putting the pieces of the puzzle to get a season back up and running right there in Orlando. What's the word on the street in that area on that front?
It's looking good. It's supposed to be like a March Madness or something kind of a thing.
Yeah. Now, how many? This is the thing I was talking about the other day. I just don't know enough about the complex. I mean, do you know how many courts and things are we talking about, or is this going to look like a glorified basketball camp, or is it going to look summer league, or is it going to look like arenas?
It's I don't know, man. They're still kicking it around. It's going to be playing at Disney. It's looking like they're going to do like an 8-game season and then like a best of 7 or something like that. I really don't know. It's something like that. They're talking about it, but I don't think anything's really quite set in stone. I'm just glad there's basketball on, man. That's one thing. And then another opportunity to go out there and see other teams. I don't even know if you can go watch the games, but if I can, I'm gonna go out there and at least see different players that you don't normally get a chance to see. But I don't think they're allowing fans in the stands quite yet.
Yeah, it's going to be something to watch. I know I heard the state of Texas made a ruling earlier today that they are going to allow an increased capacity into venues. They had initially stated they were going to do 25%. That's now been taken up a notch to 50% capacity. If that is the case at Death Valley, if Clemson were to be able to maneuver to that level, we'd be talking about maybe 40,000 people in the stands. That's quite a big number, given that it wasn't all that long ago we weren't sure that we were going to have a football season. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do agree. And even if it is 40 and I can't get a ticket, I'm still going to be tailgating 30 yards away from you, Swanee. I'm still going to be there. You're still going to be there. We're just going to have to watch it from the parking lot, brother. You know how we're going to do it. And we're going to fill up the parking lots. The games are still going to be played. The fans are still going to show up. Regardless. I mean, even if you can't get a ticket, then you're just going to have to be in the parking lot. But we will be there. I can guarantee you that. We'll be loud and proud from the parking lots and the tailgate spots. I can't wait.
Well, I'll also say this. There was thought out there, at least, that perhaps, Tom, that there will be a loss of home field advantage because of the coronavirus. If this is what we end up with, 50% capacity, I don't see how home field advantage is really lost, quite frankly. I mean, 40,000 people in Death Valley is
that's pretty much all your home field. I mean, 40,000 people screaming is still gonna be good.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're gonna see a little bit of it because that's half the stadium being filled. But even if it's home field advantage, you still gotta go out there and play the game. I mean, you can see it when it's like against Louisville. They started off a lot of false starts, a lot of missed snaps, and that was because of the crowd.
Oh, yeah.
We were just so loud you couldn't hear it.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff is going to be a factor because you can tell the difference between 40,000 people screaming and 80,000 people screaming.
It's a good point. Clemson Tom's on Twitter at Clemson Tom, and again, he is a huge Clemson Tiger football fan that formerly of YouTube fame. I have a sneaky feeling had TikTok existed, Tom, when you were kicking off your YouTube career, you would have been a bigger TikTok personality than a YouTuber. Fair or unfair?
That's up for debate.
You've got slick dance moves, Tom. Don't hide behind it.
I wouldn't have done any of those TikTok dances. I can promise you that. Definitely wouldn't have done those. No one wants to see me dance.
Tom, everybody wants to see you dance.
No, I ain't dancing.
I've seen the
days
tweets.
are over.
Are you on TikTok?
No, I'm not on TikTok. I'm an adult.
I'm on TikTok.
Are you on?
Of course.
Well, that explains it.
That's where everybody's on TikTok, Tom.
You're on TikTok for the show. I'm not on TikTok at all. Only TikTok I'm on is punching the clock every day.
I remember when TikToks were just breath mints.
Yeah, those are Tic Tacs. Those are the ones that we give you. We keep throwing hints at you, but you don't pick up the hints.
I honestly never used them.
You never had a Tic Tac?
Tacs. Huh?
Yeah, Tic Tacs are good.
Yeah,
You never had a Tic Tac?
Tic Tacs are like the renegade candy that kids would bring to elementary school because they thought they could get away with eating it. It's like,
Yeah,
nah,
no, it
teach.
was
This is for freshening the breath.
Yeah, that's true.
Tom,
Tic Tacs
listen.
were good. They always got the orange ones.
Listen, Tom. In more in a bigger sense, let's talk about some of the social issues that are going on in our country. And I know it's often difficult to deal with in times like this, but when you take a look back and see, all of the conversations that are going on from college athletes to professional athletes, and the messages that are out there, what has been, I guess, your biggest takeaway from the recent events from the standpoint of activism for social issues in our country today?
I'm not sure where you're going with it. What do you mean?
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, where's your mind been on some of the things that you've heard from athletes that are out there?
Oh well, honestly, I mean everyone's got their own opinions right now. I think certain opinions get blown out of proportion a lot more than anything else. You see, it's honestly you see. Dabo probably said it best. You sit back and just listen. Me and Caitlin actually had to have a conversation with our 7-year-old about what's kind of going on. And
Yeah.
him at 7 couldn't comprehend, what exactly was going on because, I mean, he has friends of every credo.
Sure.
And he couldn't understand it. And so it was a tough conversation to have because you're not really tough, but because I don't have a problem explaining, what's right and what's wrong, but it was tough to explain it to someone who was so innocent with it.
Yeah.
That he was like, he didn't understand, why certain people didn't like certain people, and then it's everywhere. It's on ESPN. You can't do anything.
Right.
You can't go anywhere without people talking about it. And then, we live close to downtown Orlando, and I've got helicopters flying over my house. I got protests literally down the street from me, and you can't hide that. I mean, the roads are blocked off, and it's as long as it stays peaceful, man. I'm protest away.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I think everything's getting kind of, it's getting kind of crazy. So.
Well, and I think too, as human beings, everyone was already a bit on edge because they've been essentially cooped up for 2 months, and so there's this underlying stress, that I hope and I really pray that our listeners, not only in the Midlands and in Florence and in Manning as well, find that this show takes them away from some of that. But this is unfortunately kind of been a week where we've had to dig in on some very important and topics that are painful sometimes. And I think one of the most difficult things to do as a human being is to look yourself in the mirror and say, how can I be better? If that weren't the case, people wouldn't have issues with, how they look in terms of their body and their figure, or people wouldn't, have issues about just everything, keeping up with the Joneses, social status. It's sometimes tough to just look at yourself and say, all right, I've got a really good life. What can I do to be better? Or maybe, hey, you look in the mirror and you go, man, I've got it really tough, and maybe I've resorted in the past to some bad things. What can I do to be better? But checking yourself in the mirror is perhaps the most profound thing that maybe anybody could do. And I found myself routinely in recent weeks really thinking about, how can this show be a catalyst to change? And I told this story yesterday, Tom, and I'll tell you, one of my buddies was driving home from work yesterday, and he saw 2 black gentlemen sitting by the side of the road. They looked like they had been maybe working on some construction or housing type work. And so the guy pulled over his truck, and the 2 guys were sort of defensive, kind of worried actually about what was going to take place. And my buddy got out of the car, and he just looked at those 2 guys, and he said, I just felt like with everything going on in the world, I needed to stop to tell you guys I love you. And he said they started welling up, they got tears in their eyes because we've got so much divisiveness out there. And the message I took from that is be the change you want to see in the world. And you've got a platform on social media. I certainly have a platform with this radio show and social media as well. And I really hope that this passion, this fire that's burning in my heart can be spread to guys like you and other people to be that change, to do, to get comfortable with being uncomfortable and do the things that are necessary to make sure that your kids and my kids grow up in a world where these aren't the conversations that have to be had because people feel equal across the country.
No, you always are not. Yeah, you've said it. We've both said it on the show is to be better fans. What if we're just better people? What I was talking about, don't be those fans causing trouble. Be better fans, just be better people. And I don't think you caught it. It was on the other day on the radio station in Clemson. Dutch Coleman was on talking.
I heard about this. I haven't heard it.
Dutch and I are buds, and during the show, I won't text you during the show unless about to come on. I'm like, hey, what time you calling? Kind of thing. But I had to. I was like, Dutch, you're killing it right now. This is the stuff he was saying. It brought me to a different perspective. Like, well, I never saw it that way. I never had to. I never realized I needed to. It was never an option for me.
Yeah.
To see it from someone else's perspective, and the way he was putting it wasn't throwing it in your face or being aggressive. It was just like, instead of like this, what if it's kind of like the other way?
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy crap, man! And I told him, dude, like completely got me with that, And so it was I can't even put it into words. I've been waiting for them. Maybe they put it on a podcast or something.
I'm sure it's up. I'll dig for it and see if I can find it too, because I do need to listen to it. But the thing I said, and I think this is why it's so difficult for what Dabo Swinney did the other day. People have kind of still been all over Dabo Swinney about his comments not being enough. But I said exactly what you just noted. It is extremely difficult to put yourself in someone else's shoes, and if you don't have a statement that comes out polished,
never had to.
Yeah, it's hard to hit that mark. Even if you envision it and say, okay, this must be what it's like, you still don't know. No two pictures are the same because you can't have the same lens. A lens can't be in the exact same spot in the world, so it's very hard to tell what somebody else is seeing in their life. Tom, brother, thank you for your message. Thank you for the work that you do, and I look forward to talking to you next Friday, my man.
Yes, sir, man. Have a great weekend.
Clemson Tom, here on the show that shakes the Southland. 803-450-0086. Be the change that you want to see in the world, man. That's the key. And I heard about that interview with Dutch Coleman and the conversations that he had. He is a heck of an individual. He used to be a co-host with our buddy William Qualkenbush. It was Out of Bounds with Qualk and Dutch before it became Out of Bounds with Qualk and Kelly. Dutch Coleman, who I never called Dutch, by the way. I always knew him as Harold. And it's even hard for me today to call him Dutch because I always knew him as Harold. And we spent a lot of days at the gym shooting hoops, a lot of days together in Tiger Town. I was not in a fraternity, but those guys that were at Fike were my fraternity, and those were my brothers, and those were the guys that I knew when I went downtown. Those were the guys that you spoke with, high-fived, and that, I think, has also been, for me, a part of the reason that I have been, again, more comfortable with these conversations than maybe some people, because those guys are my brothers, and I care about them, and I never want to see anything unjust happen to them. And so it's made me feel much more empowered about doing what I can to help. We hit a break. We come back with more. Stay with us.
Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire prices in Columbia, guaranteed. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
Big accident on I-26 eastbound between St. Andrews Road and the I-20 split. Police and fire are on the scene. We also have a wreck on Edmond Highway at Old Dunbar Road. I'm Rob Sanders. Reach out to me on the 103.5 FM WVOC traffic tip line 343-1055.
This report is sponsored by SOS Children's Villages. War, poverty, and disaster have left millions of children around the world orphaned, abandoned, alone. When their parents can't be there, SOS Children's Villages is there in 134 countries, including the U.S., to make a difference in a child's life. Go to sosusa.org.
Group training is a fun, accountable way to get into shape. I'm Coach Stewart of Dynamic Health and Fitness. Come train with one of our special groups today. We will focus on giving you the support you need to get in shape. We use the Dynamic Mob, featuring intervals of cardio, functional training, and strength training to change your lifestyle to make you healthy. Get started today at any of our locations in Lexington or West Columbia, or call 803-408-4060 or online at dynamichealthclub.com.
Kirk Commercial Construction is a licensed general contractor in South Carolina. Since 2011, Chris Kirk, a Columbia native with 20 years of construction experience, has believed in meeting his customers' needs. Kirk Commercial Construction is capable of performing any retail or office expansion, new construction, metal building, or commercial renovation work. In addition to Kirk's commercial construction projects, their service division can assist you with commercial and maintenance tasks. If you need it done right, call 803-250-2495 or kirkcommercialconstruction.com.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org. Dad, this is fun. I didn't think I liked kayaking.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but I think it's time to head back in.
Okay. Can we come back?
Sure.
Tomorrow?
Let's check with Mom. Hey, be careful getting out of the boat.
It's a kayak, Dad.
I'm gonna return the kayak. Just make sure you have everything.
Yep. Can we walk home?
How about a taxi? 233 North Maple, please.
It's a short fare from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Also, find fun activities to do like boating and biking or camping and hiking, plus much more. It's all right in your naturehood.
Best day ever.
A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
Looking for South Carolina's favorite country? You'll find it at 97.5 WCOS.
Happy Friday, the show that shakes the Southland, Lawton Swan. You could text us 803-450-0086, 803-450-0086. Yeah, you can be a part of the show anytime, any place, and anywhere. I saw a note on ESPN's main website today as opposed to ESPN's non-main website, I guess, talking about some of those great finishes, wildest finishes in college football history. And, you know, we talked about earlier in the week professional players who we didn't get to see play really collegiately, not a ton of highlights of those individuals. And it is really there's a laundry list of guys that you could name, right? You could find and go back to and watch But the problem is, for some of these guys, there's just not a lot of footage available. But they showed some of those Colorado beating Michigan, the Cordell Stewart Hail Mary. I think the thing about that play for me, that when I was a kid watching it unfold, was the fact that he threw the ball. Cordell Stewart was standing. He starts to take his strides up from the 25 and plants his foot at like the 27-yard line. And this is why this play for me always stood out amongst so many other great plays, is that he's on the road, he uncorks this ball from the 27, and it lands, or is coming into the landing area. It would have hit at the goal line if nobody had touched it. And of course, the ball popped up into the air. So he throws the ball essentially 73 yards. The ball pops into the air and then is caught on the road at Michigan. Back then, Colorado had been a bit of a power during that era. They were a team I can remember when Colorado football was I know, if you're too young, you're going to probably laugh at this next statement. They were a bit of a force to be reckoned with. They really were. And for so many people, I think, that are younger than me, that will sound ridiculous. But the fact of the matter is, in 1989, they went 11-1. In 1990, they went 11-1-1. I mean, they were a legitimate player in college football circles. They split that national title with Georgia Tech back in 1990. But from the standpoint of season by season results and the way they were built, they still carried that billing, so to speak, in 1994, and ended up going 11-1 that year as well, winning the Fiesta Bowl and finishing third in the country. But that game was just awesome. I mean, looking back, Bill McCartney was there. In 89, they go 11-1. They lose in the Orange Bowl. In 1990, and they were undefeated, I believe, heading into that Orange Bowl game, obviously. And I think that was a loss to, was that Notre Dame? And yeah, Notre Dame and Raheem Rocket Ishmael in that ball game in 1990, 89-90. Then the 90 season, they go 11-1-1. They win the Orange Bowl. They split the national title. In 91, they fall off a little bit, 8-3-1, 9-2-1, 8-3-1. That's unbelievable. They had ties in 4 consecutive seasons from 1990 to 1993. They had a tie. Thank goodness we got rid of that. Like, awful. But then in 1994, that season they go 11-1, and they were 10-2 with Rick Neuheisel in 95, 10-2 the following season. They end up having a 10-3 year in 2001. I mean, before they left to go to the Pac-12, they were a pretty good ball club nationally for about 15 seasons or so. They were in contention and going to be in the top 25, maybe even the top 10. But that play, in and of itself, in the Big House, was absolutely electric. Amazing. I never will forget watching it. I never will forget seeing it. It is one of those moments that sticks in your mind no matter how many years removed you are from it. And to see that play again takes me back to so many late game scenarios. And I know after review, Miami's kick return against Duke several years ago was one that so many people locked in on and talked about just what took place. Because Miami's your traditional power. Duke's your traditional basketball program. Duke's got the game in the bag, and Miami has an 8 lateral play. If you haven't seen this one in a while, or if you never saw it, throw it in your Google machine. Spend a few minutes watching it. It might be better served to play some of the Keystone Cops music behind it. You know, the bumbling cops that are kind of falling all over themselves because I don't know if that's what the Keystone Cop sounds like. I can't remember. But, yeah, there's also that kind of country twang music. But 27-24, and Miami just runs the scramble drill on the road in Durham, yet somehow survives it and does what I think every fan in sports wants to see. Like, as a fan, that's what you want to see. Like, you go to these games and you think, man, if we're down late, I hope we can pull off a Stanford Cal type finish with a kick return, pitch back, lateral, rugby style win. But instead, sadly, it rarely happens. And in this game, it did. David Cutcliffe looked dumbfounded. There probably should have been several penalties on that final play, including players on the field before their fellow teammate got into the end zone. None of that mattered. Duke won that game.
These days, being a small business means navigating uncertainty in a constantly changing situation. So if you're looking for one trusted source that will keep you informed daily, visit the iHeart Radio Small Business Crisis Resource. There you'll find small business resources to help you get through this, including the latest info on loans, grants, and other forms of relief. You'll also see stories about small businesses making a difference. So let's get through this together. Visit iHeart.com/smallbusiness today. That's iHeart.com/smallbusiness.
If you're a customer of Clark's Lawn and Landscaping or Pest Control, just know because of COVID-19, they're taking every precaution possible to protect you and them. Because of our heightened sense of awareness of viruses, you know mosquitoes are responsible for more human deaths each year than any other animal or insect? Oh, it's true. Clark's Lawn and Landscaping can make sure your lawn is mosquito-free. This is the perfect time of the year to introduce yourself to Clark's Lawn and Landscaping at 781-4991. Online, clarksturfpro.com.
At AAA Heating and Air, get an instant manufacturer's rebate of $1,500 plus 0% financing for qualified applicants and a 15-year parts and labor warranty. Call 677-1500 today.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
Tonight stays clear and warm with lows around 70. Tomorrow, sunny, highs around 90, and then a few scattered afternoon and evening storms. For Channel 25 ABC Columbia, I'm Chief Meteorologist John Farley.
This report is brought to you by Aussie.com.
Get smarter every day at Aussie.com. Try a new news site that tells you about the most interesting people, places, and ideas. Discover the next Obama, or maybe the next LeBron James. Try OZY.com right now. Aussie. It's like a latte for your mind. Get some.
The iHeart Radio app now has over 300,000 of the best podcasts from around the globe, making us #1 for podcasts, but making it super easy for you to find what you're looking for. Dive into just about anything.
It's effortless, man.
It's the best way to find new podcasts.
A new episode hits, they let me know right away.
I got it for radio, but I love podcasts, and I discovered that they have all of them. They got it all.
iHeart Radio did it. And of course, it's all free. Your music, your stations, and now #1 for podcasts.
iHeart Radio.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
More than 8,000 children in South Carolina need a caring adult to serve as their voice in family court. The time guardian ad litem volunteers spend investing in these children can change their lives forever. To volunteer, you must be 21 years old, able to pass a background check, and passionate about serving children. Become a guardian ad litem volunteer today and make a difference for tomorrow. For more information on how you can help, visit scgal.org. That's scgal.org.
It's time to show your online assistant where you go for a good time. Okay, Google, play Fox Sports Radio 1400 on iHeart Radio.
Happy Friday afternoon, Lawton Swan with you, the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson sports talk. During the break, I was checking out some what they label the miracle finishes. Good gravy. Some of these I'd never seen. It's rare. It's rare. Now, you guys know me. Done this show a long time. It's rare that I don't know something in terms of a finish, a great finish in a ball game. But some of these calls and the memories that they brought up for me were too good not to play. Like App State winning at Michigan in the Big House.
Out of the hold of
This
Mesco.
call, phenomenal.
Good snap, good hold, and the kick is blocked. Appalachian State has stunned the college football world. One of the greatest upsets in sports.
Oh, yeah. Obviously, one of the greatest plays in sports history, and maybe one of the greatest plays in local memory in terms of that game. And my goodness, the miracles that took place in the moments, the passion. Looking back at those highlights during the break, Vince Young and Texas knocking off Southern Cal.
On the line right here. He's going for the corner. He's got it.
Keith Jackson. How great is Keith Jackson? That's a voice. Whoa, Nelly. That you really miss. Then there was one they played, Tyrod Taylor at Virginia Tech. They're down 5 against Nebraska with like a minute and 15 left. They hit a big play. The guy's running the infield, gets tackled at the 3. And then somehow, I don't know what happened over the next couple of plays, but Virginia Tech's backed up to the 12 facing a 3rd and goal, and Taylor keeps the play alive, and finally finds a wide receiver in the back of the end zone. Again, regular season game, but the finish there was just incredible on so many levels. And so you look at some of these memories and moments, and that Cordell Stewart one was obviously another big one for a lot of people. And I said before the break, Duke won. You know I meant Miami. I don't know where my brain was. This was one. Texas Tech and TCU.
Throwing too tall. It was pulled in. Green caught it. Do you believe it?
The ball gets tipped. The ball gets tipped in the back of the end zone. And a TCU player, they're number 3 at the time, comes in and makes a grab. This is a high-scoring game against the Texas Tech team that's led by Pat Mahomes, as a matter of fact. And then Mahomes has a chance with no time left, an untimed down.
Mahomes setting his feet.
Mahomes is
trying
at
to get room in the pocket.
45 or so.
Extending the play. Can he get one off? He does float it downfield.
Finds a man.
Can they make it open?
They close in on the 30-yard line. He pitches it to a lineman who carries it for about 7 yards.
He throws it to Grant.
Oh, they get knocked out at the 10.
TCU survives.
55-52. TCU survives that game. Then you got the what was the one? The miracle at Jordan Hare?
Defense,
Georgia, Auburn. Oh, deep ball. That victory, the same year that Auburn knocked off Alabama with the kick six. Just an unbelievable moment in that ball game. And golly, I start watching these things. It really made me think about the fact that I need this in my life this fall. I need these night games under the lights, these incredible moments that stick with us and are etched in our minds, and probably will be until the day we die. Just what happened, even if you weren't a part of these teams, even if you weren't invested. Here's the kick six call. What a fantastic call.
57 yards.
28-28. 1 second left. Alabama goes for the field goal.
Careful and get it up. On the way.
This is what we all know.
No, returned by Chris Davis. Davis goes left. Davis gets a block. Davis has another block. Chris Davis.
That stadium.
No flags.
The stadium is shaking. When the cameras are shaking. That coming to you from CBS Sports on the SEC. Wow. How beautiful are those moments? How incredible is that sport that we love, that we tune in to talk about? It's amazing. There's no question in my mind that if we have to live through a fall without it this year, hearts will be broken everywhere. Just trust me. Flip on, put on your old Google machine the college football miracle finishes, and you will appreciate some of the greatest plays and moments in sports history. It's phenomenal. And I've only watched about 5 minutes during the break, and I was like, hold up, we got to share a few of these because they were just so awesome. I'll tell you another one too. The Oklahoma Boise State Fiesta Bowl. This is one. I don't know if I've shown my son this game or not, but with the Statue of Liberty and the hook and lateral and everything that went into the latter moments of that game after Boise was controlling it, and it was like heartbreaking to watch them fall off because they were like Gonzaga at one point in the NCAA basketball tournament. Like nobody expected them to be there. They're like Butler. You shouldn't be there. You just want them to finally do it. Boom! Hook and lateral, and then the Statue of Liberty, a version of the Statue of Liberty we'd never seen. Again, college football miracle finishes. Part 1 was what we were just watching. Stay with us.
Warning. If you're drowning in debt you can't afford, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to pay it all back, because you don't. What the credit card companies don't want you to know is that there's actually a way to get debt-free without paying off your entire debt or going bankrupt. If you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt, you now have the right to let us settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. For free information, call Credit Associates now. 1-800-500-7609. We'll even show you how much money you could save. If you can't afford to pay off all your debt, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to. Call Credit Associates now for free information on how to get debt-free faster than you ever thought possible, without debt consolidation or bankruptcy. We depend on your success and offer a guarantee, so there's no risk. For free information, call now. 1-800-500-7609. That's 1-800-500-7609. 1-800-500-7609.
Hey golfers, have you been to the golf capital of the world yet? Myrtle Beach Golf offers a variety of custom packages featuring nearly 80 courses. Golfers have the option to create the exact experience they're looking for. Plus, Myrtle Beach Golf provides top-notch accommodations with over 15 resorts, all guaranteed to be a hole-in-one. Come join us for a short drive away in Myrtle Beach. For your best golf trip by par. Book now at myrtlebeachgolf.com.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. Attention all women who have been diagnosed with ovarian cancer. Johnson & Johnson's baby powder and shower-to-shower talcum products have been linked to ovarian cancer. In February and May 2016, Johnson & Johnson was ordered to pay $72 million and $55 million by 2 juries to 2 women who contracted ovarian cancer after years of using talcum baby powder products. If you or a family member has been diagnosed with ovarian cancer and used talcum powder prior to the diagnosis, call Talcum Powder Help now today at 800-833-0112. You may be entitled to substantial compensation. The consultation is free and you'll pay nothing unless there is a recovery in your favor. Don't fight this alone. If you or a loved one used talcum baby powder-based products before being diagnosed or died from ovarian cancer, call Talcum Powder Help now at 800-833-0112. 800-833-0112. 800-833-0112.
Paid for by Bar Justice.
Hey guys, Lawton Swan here. I was hanging out in the backyard with my son Mason a couple of years ago, and he said, "Dad, you're the best father ever." When I asked him why, he said, "Because when I go outside to play, I don't get eaten up by the bugs anymore." Imagine that, me, a hero, when all I did was call my good buddy Trey Powell at Mosquito Joe. With their routine service plan, no more bugs and no more bites. Make yourself the family hero. Call Mosquito Joe today, 803-223-7916. That's 803-223-7916. Outside is fun again.
There are many sounds in your day-to-day life. There are sounds that wake you up. Sounds that make you smile. Sounds that energize you. And sounds that help you relax. But there are some sounds that can alert you to danger and can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you information about severe weather events, Amber Alerts, or other emergencies in your area. With critical information from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know, wherever you are. For more information, visit ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Fox Sports Radio 1400. Online at foxsportsradio1400.com. On your phone with the iHeart Radio app and on hundreds of devices like Alexa, Google Home, Xbox, and Sonos. An iHeart radio station.
What have you done for me lately? It's a fair question. Just don't lose sight of the bigger picture. Don't forget history. Lucky for us at Clemson, the answer to the questions, what have you done for me lately, and what have you done always, are the same. We win.
Oh, final segment on a Friday. Please Google machine it. Y'all, the finish of that Stanford Cal game with the band being on the field, I just can't get over it. I watched it several times during the break. Fantastic finishes. I don't know if this show will have one, but those games did. Thank you to Richmond Weaver. Thank you to Clemson Tom. And again, the biggest news out of Tiger Town today is, of course, the commitment to Clemson from 4-star wide receiver out of the Fort Lauderdale, Florida area, Troy Stiletto. Troy committing to Clemson earlier and announcing his decision, saying that he kind of fell in love with everything that they preach about how they run their program and really likes Dabo Swinney, really likes Coach Grisham as well at wide receiver, Tyler Grisham. And he said, I feel like I couldn't go wrong with either school. He was down to Clemson and Ohio State. He said, but he had a gut feeling that that's where I wanted to be. and he loves everything about Clemson. He said it also kind of played into the factor that you can read more about this and watch the entire commitment video over on ClemsonSportsTalk.com. But he also said that he was a guy who, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, Clemson was his final visit, and that was a huge factor, he said. So he said they told him a lot of the things he really wanted to hear. It felt like home. So the Tigers get their third 4-star wide receiver in this class, joining Dakari Collins and Bo Collins. Bo Collins from California, over on the West Coast, and then now Stellato joining Clemson from the Florida area. And again, that full interview with him is up, and he's the 14th commit in Clemson's 2021 class. And right now, if you look at the overall star ratings, from that standpoint, we're talking about a class that, in my estimation, is a strong group of individuals. And yeah, you've got the different not measurements, but the different weights are given depending on whether it's Rivals or 247 or ESPN. But we've got that rating that breaks down the national average, and when you look at that all told, you're talking about some significant 4-star commits being a part of this upcoming 2021 group. It is not going to be a huge class, one wouldn't expect. But right now, with 14 guys committed, we think it could be between 18, maybe 20, depending on attrition, depending on what takes place over the course of the year when it comes down to players. And I guess you also kind of have to wonder how a guy like Justin Ross, and the fact that instead of most likely being, or having turned pro at the end of this season, assuming he would have done that, you now have to recognize that he'll be back for another year. So last season's class was a group of 24 players. The 2019 group had 29 total guys, and the 2018 group had 17. So this has traditionally been, I believe, their smaller cycle number these years. So 18, 19 or so maybe, but right now sitting on 14, and the majority of those guys 4-star or better. And I think we've got every single player outside of Bubba Chandler, the quarterback commit, on Clemson Sports Talk. I think we have them rated 90 or above, every single player in Clemson's group right now. So you can head over there and look at that entire class. But again, Dakari Collins from Powder Springs, Georgia, Bo Collins from Bellflower, California, and now the third wide receiver in that group, Troy Stiletto, is a part of that as well. So pretty awesome, and we're going to try to catch up with Troy a little bit later this weekend for you. Again, don't forget, Clemson's Greatest Games. It's going to be on television this weekend. It kicks off tomorrow on WSPA. And HR, I don't know which game he's talking about here. HR chimes into the show via the text line. He did want me to sing some Hall & Oates earlier. I'm sorry that I did not do that, HR, but he said that game, Brent Venables looked bad. Maybe you're talking about the Syracuse Clemson game, I guess, possibly. I'm not sure which one you were talking about, HR. I apologize. I did not see that any earlier in the show, but our buddy Mark Childress is a big part of this thing, and the Mark Childress Show is now being hosted in podcast form on our website as well, on ClemsonSports.com. But here's the rundown real quick, and I'm going to hustle. It's on WSPA in the upstate Saturday at 7:30 p.m. in Augusta on WJBF at 11:35 p.m. Sunday. So that's, I guess, Sunday evening. WBTW in Myrtle Beach will carry it Sunday morning at 11:30 a.m. WCBD in Charleston will carry it at noon on Sunday. And Watch Fox 57 in the Midlands will carry it Sunday at 10:30 a.m. So, again, Clemson's greatest games. Check that out this weekend. We will definitely be talking about that on the Monday edition of the show that shakes the Southland. I hope you have a great weekend. Be the change that you want to see in the world. We will be back right here on Monday for you. And until then, as always, y'all take care now. And go Tigers!
Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan on Columbia's home for sports, Fox Sports Radio 1400. Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire.